Podcast contains mature language and adult discussions. You have been warned.
Welcome to the store.
Bam, the whole fist. It was like a magic trick. Hello and welcome. This is the Video Store Clerks Podcast. We are back with you again because it's Wednesday night. It's 10 p.m. So we have the store open for one and for all. I'm Dave.
I'm Chad, man.
I'm Mike.
I'm Chuck.
And we are your very excited clerks for the evening because tonight, ladies and gentlemen, remakes. My God, that's all we get out of Hollywood. But they're not all bad. They're not all bad.
I thought you were going to say, I don't mean to interrupt, but I thought you were going to say you're excited because the Four Horsemen are reunited.
We're back. We're back, baby. We're all in the store at the same time tonight. I couldn't
Guess
be more
who's back,
excited.
back again.
We went the opposite. We went the opposite way last week when Dave came back and did the Welcome Back Cotter.
Yeah.
Welcome back. Welcome back.
And I love my family here. I can't thank my family enough for bearing with me for like a month. I think I was out.
Something like that.
At
least you found the robot.
I did find the robot. But once again, we are back with you again this week, all assembled, all ready to go for another exciting episode of the Video Store Clerks Podcast, in which our subject for the evening will be the best remakes. But before we get into that, we will start the show as we always do with the news.
I always forget about it. I always forget about the fucking fart until it happens. And I'm like, I don't know. It just it kind of catches me off guard. Every time it gives me a nice little chuckle I didn't have before.
That's what we like to do.
Chuckle, no pun.
No pun intended.
Chuckle.
Yeah.
Call him Chucklin' Chuck.
Well, Sunday was horrible. This past Sunday was horrible. We lost a comedian, actor, and iconic character in the Law and Order series. Richard Belzer passed away at 78.
I thought he was already dead, so I felt twice as bad.
Oh, well.
I couldn't remember. I was like, is he... I thought he was already gone. And so I was like, wow, now I'm even more depressed because he really is dead this time.
And Tom Sizemore is... Nothing has really come out. Yeah, nothing's really come out in days. He was a brain aneurysm. There's conflicting reports of whether it happened Saturday or Sunday, but we've really heard nothing. So I don't know if this is a no news is good news type situation or if it just hasn't been announced publicly yet.
I really hope that he ends up being okay, man, because he seems like he's finally in a good spot in his life.
Mm-hmm. That's what's crazy.
At least it look better than. Hey guys, how's it going?
What's going on here?
What did they do?
I don't know what happened.
I hit something. You turned the movie off.
Like fucking that video drone. But anyway, but no, he seems like he's finally in a decent place in his life for the most part, and kind of getting back into more roles and shit. And boom, this shit happens. I've always liked the guy. He's a special kind of actor. That's right.
Oh, for sure.
So
what's crazy was you guys were just talking about him in Natural Born Killers a week before. So there's that. Venom 3 is in pre-production. I don't think it's a coincidence that it's also rumored that Tom Holland has finally signed a deal to return as Spider-Man. And then Venom 3 moved forward, so I guess they were waiting for that. Tom Holland's deal is rumored to be close to $1 billion to return as Spider-Man. Good for him. Blumhouse, just the name strikes fear and disgust into everyone that hears it. Well, guess what? Blumhouse is now getting into video games.
Oh God!
Whoop-de-doo.
Great dancing robot video games. Can't wait.
Moving on
With horrible plots.
We'll burn that card.
And
Steven Spielberg has come out and said he plans to adapt Stanley Kubrick's lost movie Napoleon as a short miniseries on HBO Max sometime in the future. So, Napoleon movies based around Napoleon have not done well at the box office unless you count Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. So there's that.
Yeah. Oh shit.
In remakes nobody asked for / Hollywood never seems to learn their lesson news. Guess what's coming out now? Another remake of Hellboy. Because the last one worked out so well.
Okay, look, all right. I haven't seen the new one at all, but I've heard that it's not horrible, and old dude does a good job. But Ron Perlman wants to be Hellboy, and fucking we should let him. He looks like him, okay? Like, he is exactly how I figured Hellboy would be. Why do we need to keep doing this? Let's not do this to Hellboy. Let's not do this. Let's just leave it where it is. Let it be. Think of some other fucking, like, superhero to fucking piss us off with or annoy us or overdo it with or whatever. You know, just let's not kill everything that we love. Like, just stop.
We'd appreciate it.
Just stop.
The only other Hellboy movie anybody ever asked for was the third installment in Del Toro's series, which, as you mentioned, starred Ron Perlman. But I just don't think we're ever going to get it, as once again it will be based on the Crooked Man.
Like an In Vogue song.
Never gonna get it. Never gonna
That's
get
exactly what I was thinking.
Was it really?
Yep.
That's awesome. Okay.
Whoa. The new Hellboy will be based on the fairly recent 2008 series, The Crooked Man, in which the stakes are very low. A man just basically comes to Hellboy asking for his soul back. Sounds great. Good
Sounds
job.
exciting. It's like old man Hellboy. Like he finally like starts growing old. It's like Hellboy, and he's just like, meh.
And if that one either pissed you off or confused you, hold on, because I'm going to have that beat here in a second, as in WTF news. We've been getting the Winnie the Pooh, Bambi, Peter Pan move it to a horror series. Well, guess what? Some other studios want to get in on the action, and I'm not kidding. I'm not making this up. They want to turn Teletubbies and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles into horror movies.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Yep.
Wait,
it was
hold on.
the director of the Winnie and Pooh film. He's the one who said he wanted to get into those franchises as soon as possible.
So wait a minute. Hold on. Let me just take that in for a second.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're going to beat him to the punch.
So Teletubbies will be a horror movie, and so will Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I already thought Teletubbies was a horror movie.
Yeah,
I mean, it's pretty creepy, but not in a good way.
That's the impression I had from the TV show.
It's the impression that I get. There's just 90s all over the place today. I don't know what deal is. That's horrible. I don't know why we need to do this. Ninja Turtles. Now, I'd be down to see like a more adult Ninja Turtles. I mean, like the comic books, like the original comic books, were violent, bloody. Everything that probably wouldn't go over good these days in a lot of ways. But that'd be kind of cool. Teletubbies. I mean, they did the fucking banana splits, but the Teletubbies, dude, we all know that one of the death scenes is going to involve.
It's going somewhere.
Apparently they had asked him, because the film, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey just came out last Wednesday, and they were interviewing him and asking him what franchises he would like to, do next after, Peter Pan and Bambi and all that. And he said those two. His idea more of for Ninja Turtles, he was saying how they were going to be these really fucked up mutant turtles that were just cutting people up and feeding them to their Rat King. So
I'd watch that.
I'd be curious.
I'd watch
I'd be curious.
I'd watch that. I would also. That's like completely putting your childhood into the fucking toilet and flushing it.
Well, that's what he's doing. That's what he's doing with Winnie the Pooh, and then
that's his plan.
And Peter Pan are next on the hit list.
I'm not mad about it though. I'm always curious about the alternate universe of these fucking, like the bizarro world of these fucking things. Yeah. That's what I like about the Winnie the Pooh idea. It's the bizarro world. Like it's like, oh well, they're out for blood, not
And
honey. Well, and honey, but there's blood involved.
Right.
That was never a thing. A poor bear, honey. You never like. It was never like, oh, I'm gonna cut off your head. Like no, like I don't know. I'm excited about it, but I don't know. That's just.
So expect a whole lot more of these in the very near future.
Having mixed feelings now.
Well, that's good enough for the news. I'm sick of it. I'm over it. Oh, man. So let's move on to our main subject tonight. Best remakes. Jesus, this one was tough. I struggled with this one.
Definitely a lot.
There's a lot. Yeah. I mean, this has gone on for decades and decades and decades. It's not uncommon. It's all throughout human history that we retell the same stories, over and over again in different ways.
Some good, some bad.
And
a lot bad.
A lot of bad.
The film that came to mind very first in my mind was the one that Mike has behind him right there. So I tried to stay away from that one because I figured that would be everybody's number one. But still, there's a lot to choose from. Recently, we've gotten a lot of garbage. But I think the problem is they remake movies that they shouldn't. Like RoboCop, I think, is a good example. Why would you remake a movie that's damn near perfect? And arguments could be made for like Batman. Are those considered remakes? There's the Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield, I guess, considered a remake. I mean, it goes on and on and on.
Which actually, when it comes down to like the comic book stuff, they are a little different from just regular movies. Because there's so many different comic books like that have just different run-off stories, especially Spider-Man. Amazing Spider-Man, just Spider-Man, and then whatever else. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so I mean, like, it's not really, to me, I don't really look at a lot of those like remakes, but just like, oh, okay, this is Batman, Dark Knight. Like, it's just different stories. So it doesn't really piss me off too bad unless they just really suck.
Yeah,
and I don't really care about that many of them.
Unless they're like really good. I mean, like Christopher Nolan's Batman series was amazing, and he knew when to stop too. But anyway, I guess I've stalled enough because I've changed my list. I don't know how many times the last couple days. So starting at number 3, and just because a movie, as usual, just because a movie's not on any of our lists does not mean we don't like it. It just means, hey. I'll start with Little Shop of Horrors.
Damn it.
All right.
You dirty dog. I thought that was going to be my sleeper.
Oh, all right. Well, this was 1986, I believe, and it was a remake from a film from the 50s, 60s. No, 1960. I'm sorry.
1960, Roger Corman film.
Yeah, and that was based off a play. I mean, again, the ideas recycle over and over again. I always loved this movie as a kid. I was never big on musicals, but this was one I could always sit through. I didn't see it till it came out on home video. And still to this day, my favorite scene in the movie is Bill Murray and Steve Martin when he goes to the dentist. I could watch that over and over again.
He's playing the role of Jack Nicholson played in the original.
Right.
Yeah, the guy that likes the pain.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I love that scene still to this day.
Doc, just do it to me. Like I don't know. It's fucking creepy.
Root canal.
And what's crazy is only recently, I think it was 2012, that the director's cut finally came out with the alternate ending where the plant takes over the world and kills everybody. I only saw that for the first time a couple years ago.
Well, I think they had released a special edition back in late 90s. And the studio got pissed off because they didn't realize what they put in the special features. And they had put in the original ending, but it was like a black and white version. It was really shitty. And the studio found out about it, and they recalled all those special edition ones and re-released it without the shitty footage. So it was out there. I remember seeing the black and white footage a long time ago. And then they restored it, the studio had thought the original cut with the color and everything had been lost, but I think Frank Oz or somebody had another copy of it, and they were able to put it back on the new release.
Wow, that's hard to believe because that footage sat there for a long ass time. They probably just got to it.
What I ever do to you? I think Steve Martin did a great job in that role.
Oh, I loved him in that role.
Yeah, he good bad guy. Piece of shit.
Surprisingly.
Yeah, I remember as a kid watching that. I was like, I love the fact that he gets chopped up. You know.
I think that was like my first introduction to Rick Moranis.
I want to say Ghostbusters might have.
Oh
Ghostbusters
yeah,
was for me.
Ghostbusters, I think.
Well,
so.
I don't know. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. But I don't know.
That was the 90s, right?
Yeah, so maybe I guess so maybe it was Ghostbusters. I can't remember. That was so long ago.
I'm pretty sure Ghostbusters.
He was a lot of big movies in the 80s. I think he did Ghostbusters, Spaceballs, then Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and whatever else he did in between. But those were probably the biggest movies.
Was that that Big Bully movie and Little Giants?
Oh yeah,
Little Giants was my shit.
All right, Parrot Head, and the one with the car salesman. What was that called? He was with Steve Martin in that one too. Was it Cadillac Man?
He was in My Blue Skies.
Oh, that's it. My Blue Heaven. That's what I'm thinking.
My Blue Heaven. That's what it was. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, Rick Moranis ended up retiring to go take care of his wife.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then he came back. It was a couple years ago. Then he got robbed in New York, and then he disappeared again.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. There was video.
I do
you remember that? Yeah.
Actually, the story I had heard
like this
is somebody tried to rob him on the street, and then they realized who he was, and ended up giving him his stuff back. That's the story I heard. I don't know if that's correct or not. But
that's so sweet of them.
It was just so fucked up. But yeah, he had retired from film altogether. His wife got sick, and I think she was dying and passed away. And he wanted to be a full-time father and raise his children. You know, he said, my kids are more important than this business. And I think he went back to Canada and stayed there until they grew up. And now he's getting slowly but surely getting back into the business here and there.
I always liked that one skit he did with his brother or whatever on fucking SNL. Whenever they were like the Canadian beer drinking.
That was SCTV.
Yeah.
Strange Brew.
Okay, yeah.
SCTV. The Canadian version.
That shit was funny. Like I was just watching that shit like a few weeks ago. It popped up on my YouTube shit, and I was like, "Bet."
And my stepdad has a whole bunch of VHSs where he taped those. I used to watch the shit out of those as a kid.
That shit's fucking funny.
Yep.
There you go. So that's it. That's my number 3, Little Shop of Horrors.
It works out because that's my number 3 as well. So we can can just stay on that for now. And like you said, it was actually adapted from the Broadway off-Broadway musical in 1982. It ended up being like the biggest grossing off-Broadway production ever. And that got taken from the 1960 film by Roger Corman that we talked about. And that was inspired by a 1932 New York Times short story called Green Thoughts by John Collier. The 1960 version, Corman actually filmed it in 2.5 days he had a bet with somebody because he had rented the studio. He'd rented the studio for like 7 days, and he filmed this movie called Bucket of Blood. And they ended up wrapping that after 4.5 days, and he made a bet with somebody that he could film another film within 2.5 days, and they ended up doing the original Little Shop of Horrors.
Which Bucket of Blood has an old dude from Gremlins in it.
Yep.
Which that's a good one. If you haven't seen that one, that's a fun little classic.
Dick Miller?
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It plays out like an old Alfred Hitchcock episode.
Yeah, cool. Great cast. Rick Moranis, we talked about. Ellen Greene, Steve Martin, Jim Belushi, Bill Murray, John Candy. So many great actors of the time, and that was like one of my earliest, getting to see some of these actors in their early stages.
I can't stand the chick though in that movie. Even as a kid, I couldn't stand her. No,
Audrey?
She's just so damn annoying. I never could. I don't know. Like I bought it on DVD with my ex a few years back, and we rewatched it, and I was just like, God, I hate her. There's just something about her. I'm just like, I don't like that. Oh, I'm so stupid. Like I just can't stand it.
Well, she was the actual Broadway actress that was doing the play off Broadway, and
cool. She's still stupid looking. That was hard.
It's been a while. It's been a long time since I've seen that movie.
But
I just remember that I'm a big bad green mean mother from outer space, or whatever the fuck that song was.
Mean green mother from outer space.
Mean green mother.
Great fucking soundtrack, man. If you're not into musicals, I mean, I don't know how you can't like this soundtrack. It's just so much fun. And the thing was, back in the 80s, it's like there's no CGI. They didn't use any blue screen or anything like that. These were real puppets that they used. They had all kinds of different versions because, you know, the various stages of the Audrey 2 plant growing from small to big. They said that the largest one that stood like 12 foot tall, they ended up using like 60 people to puppeteer that puppet. And I think the main guy was Jim Henson's son who ran the operation. But it was a huge production to run this puppet. But it turned out amazing because it looked so realistic, you know, especially when you're a kid watching that. You're like, holy shit, that looks like a real man-eating plant. And it was just, you know, it's one of those things I love. And I'll still appreciate it to this day because, like I say, I'm not a big CGI fan. So when I see stuff like that and how much work that went into it, I give it full praise.
Oh, so, yeah. I want to get Audrey tattooed on me.
Yeah.
A plant. Yeah. I want to have a whole scene where it's like her versus like the evil bong. Like, I think it'd be cool.
That'd be cool.
I mean, dead serious.
That'd be a cool crossover.
I think so.
That'd be a crazy crossover.
But yeah, they ended up.
I would love
money.
They ended up filming it in a slower speed because they realized whenever they were actually doing the regular takes that it didn't seem to line up. Like the whenever they're doing the songs, the puppeteer people couldn't keep up with the motions and everything like that to make it look natural. So they ended up filming a lot of the stuff at a slower speed. And then whenever they went to playback, realized that it looked more realistic. So they ended up doing it that way. And I think they even discussed doing a remake of it in like 2020, like a remake. And it got canceled. I think it was supposed to be Taron Egerton and Scarlett Johansson. They were could have booked them for the remake, and that thing got canceled. So I'm glad that happened. But yeah, great looking flick, incredible musical score with Alan Menken, Howard Ashman, and can't put it over enough.
Good. What's your number 3, sir?
My number 3 is a movie that when I heard was getting ready to come out, I was totally against it because I'm such a big fan of the original franchise, is Evil Dead.
Oh, I'm glad that we both decided to do this. I kind of figured, but yeah, you go first.
I mean, it was like I said, it was something that whenever I heard it was coming out, I'm like, God, fuck no, leave this shit alone. Like, you can't fuck this up. Like, then once I heard that Raimi was involved, I was like, okay, there's hope. So then I watched it and I was like, I mean, it's more of a kind of, I guess you could say, more of a rebootish type than a remake since they changed the characters around.
Yeah.
But same storyline. But they fucking killed that movie. They did it justice. Like the whole fucking, like all the effects, all the, like the gore, like it was just fucking phenomenal. Like to this day, like every time I watch this fucking movie, when the chick licks the razor blade, I have to I always like tense up and I'm just like, what the fuck? Yeah. Like every fucking time. And then the whole raining blood scene at the end where I think me and Chuck talked before about how they should have played some Slayer at the end of that.
Right. Well, not that they should have, but it would have made sense. You know?
Right.
I when I went and saw this in theaters, I didn't know what to expect because I don't really remember if I saw the trailer before I went. But I was pretty blown away by it. It just seemed like a really good homage to the originals. There's a little bit of things here and there that are, you know, similar to the originals, but it has its own story, it has its own beast, and I like that. It keeps with the Deadites. It keeps with a plot that's in the same vein. You know what I mean? Which is why I'm so excited about this new one, because it's sticking to this. Because I really love this movie. I think it's really good. I watch it all the time, actually. A lot of good gore, a lot of good blood, a lot of painful scenes. When the chick's fucking stabbing dude's head, like eye with the fucking needle. Oh, ow.
Yeah, you can feel every fucking death scene in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
You feel everything.
Yeah.
Like it's so fucking, it's just graphic and gory, and the fucking like the effects just looked amazing.
And that's why they were really smart about it, because you're not going to catch lightning in a bottle again like the originals did.
Right.
I think we need to do our own thing, and I think that's what they did. And like the hardest part of this movie, when you're writing it, has to be, okay, how do we get them to the cabin? And even worse than that, if you do a sequel, oh my God, how do we get them back to the cabin?
Yeah.
But again, with Evil Dead Rise, they're going in a different direction, which I think is great. I'm really excited to.
Because it's all about the book. It's all about the book.
Right.
People forget that.
Yeah.
I have had so many arguments with people about this movie. People saying
It's like that. It's like the Hellraiser box.
yeah, like exactly. It's exactly like that. But people don't get that with the Necronomicon. They immediately are like, oh, it's Evil Dead. So you don't have to think Ash and the whole the usual stick, chainsaw, shotgun, all that stuff. And people don't know, which I get it, but a lot of times people don't know how to react to the possibility of something different being good. And I'm guilty of it too. We all are in ways. I've been surprised plenty of times. This movie surprised me. I went in thinking it's going to be, and I walked out like not being able to shut up about how much I loved it. It's definitely. I mean, like it was kind of a no-brainer for me with this one. I was thinking on it because I had another one that was real close next to it. But
So is that your number 3?
this is my number 3. We have the same number 3. It is the
Weird.
remake of it's a good one.
And just so
when did
people
number
know,
two come out.
What's that?
April.
April.
April. Okay.
And just so people know, we have no idea what our picks are before we do this. People are going to say, "Oh no, these motherfuckers know." No, we don't.
Right.
We don't discuss them at all. So
We never have.
Anybody says that, but in case they do,
I mean, me and Dave hang out and shit before the show, and we don't even talk about the shit.
I saw it all over Reddit.
We watched something totally unrelated before we fucking do this. Today we watched Fried Berry on Shudder.
that is that's a movie.
Have you seen it?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's one for another episode.
I'd be
that's
down.
top notch right there.
I'm still not sure what I just watched.
No, it's yeah.
Still got to process it.
But yeah, to all the doubters on Reddit, this shit is real.
Real life. No gimmicks. Just one gimmick.
So,
All right, moving along.
crap. So 3. Okay. All right. So we're on number 2 already.
Yeah.
All right. My number 2. I'm staying in the same time period. In fact, this movie, I believe, was released just a couple months before Little Shop of Horrors was. I'm talking about The Fly.
Okay,
I went back and I went back and watched this. It was the first time I've seen it in a long, long time, and fuck, it's still disturbing as shit.
Yeah, man.
Like science fiction horror, body horror. Oh my god, it's
Cronenberg's the king,
to this
man.
day.
He's the king of body horror.
And again, like with the special effects we talked about, in Little Shop of Horrors, my God, it's just how the fuck did they do some of this stuff? I still don't know how they did some of this stuff. And everything about it, even the pod itself is just creepy. It's just creepy looking. Oh.
Richard.
Oh, blessed be to you, sir. But yeah, even after, and I still don't.
I was gone one episode too. No one soon noticed. It's okay.
Oh,
Blessed be.
blessed be. I still don't like the Eric Stoltz sequel, but there was actually 2 original sequels. There was The Return and Curse of the Fly, I think. with the originals that came.
Was the second one bad? Because it's been forever since
I didn't like it. The Eric Stoltz one, I watched it one time when it first came out on video, and I don't think I ever watched it.
It's goofy.
I watched it on 19XIX when I was like 10 or 11 or 12, something around there. It was a long time ago.
That's funny. I thought about putting The Fly on my list.
And I came to find I did learn something about The Fly. They have that love triangle.
Yeah.
Well, that was real too. Apparently, the dude that played what's his name, the ex-boyfriend, was really Gina Davis's ex-boyfriend, and Jeff Goldblum and Gina Davis were in a relationship at the time.
Sure.
So,
interesting.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of that chemistry and a lot of those
art imitating
tension.
life.
Yes, it's very real. But
you gotta love Goldblum.
Oh, you gotta love Goldblum.
Breakout role for Jeffy.
He's so good in every fucking thing.
Who was
great? Yes, here he comes. He's coming. He's gonna get you.
I think Michael.
As he's gotten older, he's gotten crazier.
But
I love him.
Yeah, there was a lot of people offered this role too. Michael Keaton, Richard Dreyfuss, fucking who else? Lithgow. And he said it was too gross. That's why he turned it down.
Well, the same guy that says that's too gross played in Ricochet. The movie was
Trinity.
Oh man,
the Trinity Killer said it was too much for him.
Man, I haven't seen Ricochet in a minute.
He was Ricochet actually isn't a bad movie. It's just there's some stupid shit in that movie.
Sure, I don't even remember
it. Where the fucking inmates where they dress up with fucking like books and shit as like armor. But like as Trinity Killer, he was great. I can understand why he was a little because that's part of the darkest role he's been in.
He's Mr. Henderson.
Yeah.
And of course, the original from the 50s was also based on a short story. That's going to be a running theme here, I think, tonight. Starring Vincent Price. That was a huge hit. And The Fly, of course, was a commercial and critical success. It was huge. Like Mike said, it's a breakout role for Jeff Goldblum. He was off to the races after this movie came out.
Yeah. Because didn't he play? Because shortly after this or before
Earth Girls
this,
Are Easy.
What was? Yeah. Earth Girls Are Easy. Is that what you said?
Yeah, they were both in that
the next,
together.
Yeah.
I think
within the next year or so, he did Earth Girls Are Easy.
87, 88. Yeah.
As a kid, that movie fucked my head up. It was on HBO. And I was like, what am I watching? I mean, I was a little guy.
I remember seeing it on there too. Fuck. Yeah. Not realizing that was Jim Carrey and Damon Wayans.
Right.
That was Jim Carrey. Yeah. I knew about the Damon Wayans, but I didn't realize I forgot about Jim Carrey. That's a movie I haven't seen since then.
Forever. Oh, it's funny how things work out. Because a couple of years later, they'd be on In Living Color together, and wow, it's funny how things work out.
And now we're old and talking about it.
Yep, now we're old and crooked.
But then he didn't end up. Then Goldblum didn't really end up doing anything big till Jurassic Park.
Park. No, that was in '93. So, and now he's kind of reinvented himself yet again here recently.
He was in that. Was it Life Aquatic? Was he in that, or he was in something like it?
I don't know.
Bill Murray movie. No, nobody.
Nobody. Crickets.
Goldblum was in there.
Okay. What was the movie that? What the movie was that Bill Murray was in that was like had to do with like water and shit?
Life Aquatic.
Oh, so I was right about that. Yeah. So Bill Murray and Jeff Goldblum. Okay. Yeah. That's what I thought it was. And I didn't think you all thought it was. Whatever. Moving on.
You can't forget his role in The Great White Hype.
Me and Chad were just talking about that. What?
Yeah, I never saw that.
Dude, that shit's so good.
I'm not a sports guy. If it involves sports, like it better be like The Last Boy Scout. There's something in there that has to do with like sports, but it's not all about sports. Also, there's shooting, death, or something.
So you're saying the longest yard isn't your number one?
No.
I forgot about that one actually.
I've never seen either one of them.
What's the other one? Bad
I
News
hate Adam
Bears.
Sandler.
Bad News Bears.
Nah, I remember that movie as a kid.
God.
That's nostalgia.
But also with The Fly, I think probably for the last 20 years or so, they've been talking about remaking it again, but it's never happened. So that's all.
They probably shouldn't.
That's it.
Here's an idea. How about don't?
Yeah.
Like Hollywood has these ideas in their heads. Like, you know what we should remake? Somebody needs to be in the room going, no,
Nothing.
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 Not going to happen. That's a bad idea.
If anything, I would say The Fly probably did more for Gina Davis's career, because she's doing Beetlejuice, she's doing
League of Their Own.
League of Their Own.
Yeah. Did Earth Girls Are Easy with him. She Thelma
and Louise.
Thelma and Louise. Yeah.
And
She did a bunch of shit.
Yeah, she was hitting the bangers before Goldblum really got his full stride in '93. So,
am I the only one that did not think that she was that hot growing up? Anybody?
oh, dude, how can you not? I mean, there's
I figured.
Okay.
I think she's ugly. She's much better than Julia Roberts, because Julia Roberts is like a horse.
I think you're misremembering, because you probably saw. I was thinking the same thing not too long ago, because there's certain films that you remember her from, and she's not. They don't portray her as like a hot chick. She's just like a regular chick and everything like that. But the thing that got me was the news that came up where Bill Murray, they were talking, I guess she put out a book or something like that, and they were talking about how Bill Murray acted inappropriate with her or whatever back on the Arsenio Hall show. And so I went back and watched the Arsenio Hall show with them on there, and fucking, if you go and watch that episode of Arsenio Hall, she is fucking smoking hot, like unbelievable. So
look, I'm not going to say the woman isn't gorgeous. I mean, she is, but I've just never really thought that she was like, she's not my kind of gorgeous. There's been times, there's times where I'm like, all right, and there's times where I'm like, eh. But like, she's never been like, one that I'm like pausing on, if you know what I mean. Yeah.
Are you telling me like that scene in like A Long Kiss Goodnight whenever she's like coming up underneath the water?
That's the movie. Okay. Right. That is the movie that I do think that she is incredibly hot in.
Because whenever she goes back to being Charlie, she's super hot.
Yeah, no, whatever.
Got him.
You were more of a Rosie O'Donnell Exit to Eden type guy, right?
What the fuck? Although the thing is,
you even think of that?
Yeah, no, it's funny because I was actually trying to find that. I was actually trying to find that movie a couple weeks ago. I can't find it anywhere.
Dan Aykroyd and somebody else was in that.
It's Dan Aykroyd, Rosie O'Donnell, and
I thought there was another chick in that.
It's based off of Anne Rice.
Dana Delaney.
I think so. I think one of those.
But wow, that's one I completely forgot about.
It's said to be like one of like the worst movies. I've never seen it. I remember when it came out, and I was like, ooh, Rosie O'Donnell and like BDSM. Even as like a fucking 13-year-old kid, I'm going, oh. But now I'm like 39 and I've seen it all. I'm bored now. I just want to see what's this all about.
The only reason it popped into my head was because I was on my Facebook feed the other day, and I'm in this group like remember the 80s, 90s or whatever, and somebody had posted that picture. And I was like, holy fuck, I forgot that film.
Yeah, there's a reason why we all forgot about it apparently.
Yeah, and there's her and Dan Aykroyd standing there in fucking leather suits and like what the fuck?
As I've gotten older, I've gotten more curious about this movie because I'm like, Dan Aykroyd's hilarious. Rosie O'Donnell isn't. It has to do. I mean, it's based on an Anne Rice novel, like one she's never written before. I don't know, but it's. I had to see it.
The tag because they play cops and they're going undercover.
Oh, that's right.
The tagline was. These cops are going to have to flash more than their badges
to
solve the case. And I'm like, whoa. Like fucking now now you got the fucking picture in my head of Rosie O'Donnell fucking pulling her shit out.
Well, at least
flapping his shit. Like,
at least it was younger Rosie.
Right.
Actually, it doesn't matter. She's a hideous woman regardless. I'm sorry. She is not an attractive woman whatsoever. She's a hideous, horrible nag. I can't stand the woman.
Oh my god,
hate her.
Well, maybe that's one that they need to consider for a remake. Exit to Eden.
Hey, you know what? Hollywood. Yeah, remake a comedy about BDSM, or just remake it and make it less comedy. You know what? I'll get started on that immediately.
Alrighty then.
Anyway,
So moving on.
moving on.
Number 2. There was so many to choose from, but then I was scrolling through all the fucking like movies that were on there, and I had to go with The Thing.
Oh fuck yeah!
Oh! You took my number 1 from underneath.
I had
Oh,
both
sniper.
versions of that movie.
The snipe.
Sharpshooter. That movie is just so fucking good from beginning to end. Like, it's just a fucking ride. And the effects for like the time, like, come on.
Yes, we are not talking the 2011, I think it was, remake.
No,
We're talking the 1982.
Right, because
That is also a
John
remake
Carpenter.
from, yeah,
Which I had the VHS down here. Yeah,
The Thing from Another World, 1951, I think.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Which was also based on another short story.
Mm-hmm.
Once again,
that is the theme.
The Thing was such a different movie, like for that time period, like for what it was. People didn't know if it was a science fiction movie or a horror film, and it's the perfect mix of both.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's when you think of like John Carpenter films. I mean, you know, of course, Halloween is like a masterpiece, whatever, to a lot of people. And I love Halloween, but I think in a lot of ways, The Thing is John Carpenter's like masterpiece.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's so good, and the fact that, you know, it doesn't even really like doesn't play out. The only thing that makes it, I mean, obviously it's a very similar story from the original movie, you know, but no one knows it. No one even thinks about the original because of this. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
it's so damn good. Such a
horror
good choice.
movies with isolation are the best. I will agree. Like Alien and movies like that, when there's no escape.
Right.
What do you do?
And then apparently to this day, people are still trying to get Carpenter to actually do a sequel.
John Carpenter is a very smart man. There's a reason why he's not.
Yeah. Correct. I will 100% agree.
But I always loved that movie growing up.
And like, for some reason, with like
Special
other John Carpenter movies, for some reason it just doesn't do well at the box office. I would give anything to go back to opening night with this movie and like something like Alien again, to go there the first time everyone else is seeing it, and just oh my god, when he eats his arms off when he's giving him the paddles and the fucking spider head. Oh man, that's good shit.
The special effects in it were top notch. And it was a good mystery too. Like the first time you see this movie, because you never know.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know who, you know.
You can't trust anybody.
You can't trust anybody. Everyone is a suspect, you know.
Not even Kurt Russell's beard.
Right. Not even Kurt Russell's very frozen beard. From the beginning to the end of this movie, I mean, it's not boring. You're constantly intrigued. You're invested like immediately. God, it's definitely in my top 50 of all time. It's
easy.
And this was a perfect example of critics not knowing what the fuck they're talking about when this movie came out, because it got bashed. It got bashed when it came out, and then it came out on home video, and like a lot of movies from the 80s, it finds that second life when it comes out on home video. It finds its audience.
Yeah.
And just like that, it became an instant classic. It's just crazy how that.
And you can also feel the tension in the scene whenever they're doing the blood test shit.
Oh, he's so good at building it. You
can feel that shit.
Like that's the thing about John Carpenter, man. I will stand by the fact that, I mean, he out of the forefathers of horror directing, he's one that's still standing for the time being.
Mm-hmm.
But I will always say that he is one of the best. I mean,
he's on Mount Rushmore.
That guy just he's on Mount Rushmore with a cigarette hanging out of his mouth and a look on his face like, what did you just say to me? And he's a fucking genius. Filmmaking, writing, music. I mean, the guy's he's the bee's knees. Anything you want, John Carpenter's got it. It's just a matter if he's actually going to give it to you or not.
And this was prime time for Carpenter.
Yeah.
Bro.
Oh, might have lost Mike.
Mike.
Yeah, we did. We lost Mike. He'll be back.
He'll be back.
He's going to get so mad.
I can hear him cussing now.
Yeah. Son of a bitch. Whoa, part of the same thing I would be doing with my fucks up. But yeah, the thing, man. God, there's not a bad thing I can say about that movie.
No,
not a bad thing at all. That's a movie that honestly, it's one of those movies that you hope that like when you have people over and you're like, hey, let's watch a movie. You hope that at least one person says, I've never seen the thing, because you're gonna go, I know we're watching. Like I've got a few people actually in my circle that have never seen that I need to bring to their eye sockets.
Yeah, like it's so fucking good. And it holds up. Like I've only ever seen bits and pieces of the newest remake from 2011.
Yeah, I think so. I've never seen it.
I didn't care for it. I remember renting that at a fucking Red Box.
Like, I couldn't it wouldn't grab my attention, so I knew like right off the jump, like it doesn't have the same feel.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've been at a bar because like where my apartment used to be, it was like there's my apartment next door is the karaoke bar I used to work at / just drink myself to death at, and then like behind me was a fucking Walgreens, so like I would get fucking hammered and be like, I'm gonna go home and watch a movie, and like I would like stumble over to the Red Box machine and I'd be looking through horror movies or whatever. That's how I watched the last Howling movie that came out. Garbage. And I was like, oh, The Thing. This could be interesting. And I took it home, put it in, and I'm sitting there, and I'm just like, I kind of wish I would have rented something else. I just didn't care for it. I was just like, there ain't no point.
That's a shame. There's not. And that's what I'm saying with like a movie that has a following like that, just leave it the fuck alone. You're shooting yourself in the foot and wasting money if you even try. And like RoboCop and Child's Play, they actually have decent scripts, but just get that name slapped on, and it's just stop.
The word "flap" has been used unnecessarily like a big amount tonight.
Flap.
Mike was talking about Dan Aykroyd's flapping.
Oh Jesus! Stop! I just got it out of my head. Now it's back.
Now what if they did a remake called The Thing? Would you be in?
Sold.
It'd be
only if Stella gets her grooves back.
Snoop Dogg presents The Thing.
Oh, that would be great. Fucking sign me up.
Oh man, I don't trust who you are. I don't really give a shit.
I don't know Russell's role. Mr. T.
Nah, he's too old.
Oh shit! He just got done filming something.
I'd have to think about that. See, I don't even know what the fuck Hollywood's problem is. All they got to do is throw like people like us into a fucking think tank for like a day.
Yeah.
And we're going to bang out the craziest shit you could ever imagine. Like,
and if we spend that time in there for a day, we're going to watch at least 5 movies.
Can we not say
about anything?
Can we not say we're going to be in a think tank together and then bang something out? Like, can we just get ideas out? Can we word it that way?
All right. We'll take off the flap and we'll keep the door open. Wait, which door? Never mind.
We'll leave the light on for you.
Go past this part. In fact, never play this again.
You know too much.
So there we go. That was your number 2 and my number 1. So damn it. I was hoping I didn't think anybody would pick my picks. But I was wrong. I was wrong twice. Well, all right, Mike. What's your number 2?
All right, my number 2. Such a good fucking movie. Heat, directed by Michael Mann, 1995 film, based on a TV film that he did. He actually developed called L.A. Takedown.
Okay.
Incredible fucking ensemble cast. You got Pacino, De Niro,
Kilmer,
Val Kilmer, John Voight,
Henry Rollins,
Tom Sizemore, which we spoke of earlier, Danny Trejo, fucking Ashley Judd, fucking Michael T. Williamson, fucking Natalie Portman's second film, Dennis Haysbert, fucking Henry Rollins, Tone Loc, Jeremy Piven. This is the fucking who's who of motherfucking Hollywood back in the middle of the 90s. 95.
95. Oh, wow. Okay.
One of the best bank heist movies ever made.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And it has one of one of my favorite scenes, probably of like any movie that's not horror related, where Al Pacino and De Niro are sitting at the coffee shop, and I always had an idea in my head for a story where God and the devil have a meeting at a coffee shop, and it is actually pretty much playing out just like that scene. It's just a good scene. We're just like, I'm gonna get you, and he's just like, man, we'll see. Like, it's so good.
And that's the scene that actually sold De Niro on doing the film, and what they pretty much marketed the film around, because this was the first time that De Niro and Pacino had been on screen together. Now everybody's like, oh, well, they were in the fucking Godfather too, but they weren't on screen together because, you know, the flashbacks and the flash forwards and all that. So this was the first time they were actually on screen together, and it's only a few minutes, but it's such a good flick, and it's such a good confrontation, like he was saying. Yeah, great dialogue. One of those films where, you know, it's actually based on an actual criminal called Neil McCauley, which is De Niro's character. He was in Alcatraz, and he got released, and he would just go on these heists and commit these crimes. And there was, I think it was out in Chicago, that there was a cop that hunted him down and got him and his team. So it's based on real life, and also Mann had done like I said, the film, TV film version called LA Takedown, which is pretty much the exact same thing. If you dumb down, like if you watch The Shining and then you watch the TV version of The Shining, you can tell the difference. It's the same thing with this, where it's just like you know it's a TV version, but everything as far as the story goes, everything's pretty much identical for the most part. But such a fucking good movie, such a fucking good cast.
It's classic.
You know, yeah, for sure. And like you said, Pacino's character as a cop that's trying to hunt down this gang or crew of bank, well, not necessarily like banks. They rob all kinds of stuff. They're just robbers, thieves in general. Yeah. And it's headed up by Robert De Niro, and just, oh man, such good acting, such a good crew.
It's actually a film that in my house growing up was watched a lot. It's one of my stepdad's favorite movies, so it was always on. I actually got his VHS copy of it, but yeah, that when it comes down to God, some of the best shootouts. I mean, come on, that's like a 30-minute shootout. Like that's like one of the best ones, man. Like you can't really beat it. It's so damn good. It's definitely in like I said, in like my top like 50 like favorite of all time.
And they even said from that the bank shootout, they have said that there's like that scene, like when you see them like trying to flee from the cops, and then the car gets the tire shot out, and then they got to get out of the car, and they're blocked off on like each end, so they're kind of getting trapped in the middle, and De Niro and Sizemore and Kilmer are trying to get out of there, and if you watch it, they cover each other. It's like where the one's doing cover fire, and these guys are just inching along from car to car, trying to slowly get out of this trap that they got on both ends. And they've said that like military places have used that footage to show some of their trainees that this is how you escape a situation where you're trapped in crossfire. And I think they even said that when Val Kilmer, like he runs out of ammo, and the way he runs out of ammo and he quickly drops down, he does something and he reloads real quick. They said they use this film multiple times for people in the military to just say like, this is how it's done. Like they did it exactly how a professional would do it. So attention to detail is magnificent.
I tried watching that shit last week, and I couldn't find it anywhere. I was bummed out.
Oh damn! I was just thinking I'm going to go home and watch it.
It's free on Flex, some fucking website called Flex. Just do heat streaming, and it's free on Flex. So definitely worth a watch. If you haven't seen it, fucking amazing film, amazing cast. Oh,
I'm gonna grab my VHS and watch it.
And of course, how can you ever forget the scene with Al Pacino and Hank Azaria, where they're talking to him and they're trying to get information from him about Val Kilmer's girlfriend, and I still to this day we'll be talking and I'll be like, she's got a grass, and you got your head all the way up it.
That was good. That was good.
Hoo-ah.
You fucking guy. I like that.
Fucking guy. So yeah. What happened here? What's going on here?
I don't know. That sounded terrible.
What?
Oh, okay.
Your feedback from your phone and your headset was fucking going bananas.
Yeah,
Am I okay now?
Headset.
Yeah, you're fine now.
But if you put your headset near your phone, I think it creates some kind of feedback or reverb.
Well, I'll be a son of a bitch.
So yeah.
I ain't no goddamn son of a bitch.
Better think about it, baby.
All right, Charles. Or Chuck. Oh, my bad.
Oh, Jesus Christ. You see how wide his eyes got?
He had a hairline for a second.
Speaking of heat, my bad.
Yes, Chuck Nasty's turn is now.
Even on the podcast, he gets no respect.
No respect at all, let me tell you. So I picked a movie. Yeah, so my favorite movie of all time is Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And so when the remake came out, I was completely unsure how I was going to feel about it. Now, I will go ahead and point out that this is a DVD version of it, and I used to have this is like the regular version you'd find. I used to have like the special edition with like the metal cover and all this cool stuff that came with it. But some piece of shit stole that from me years ago when I was in the hospital. But anyway, so this movie right here, I think it's so well done. It kind of grows on the whole idea of the family. There's more characters added. It's a little more disgusting. Like me and Whitman were talking about this when we were talking about this movie a while back. That it's just so gritty. The way it's shot is just like you feel like you've been out in the fucking like desert all day or like out in the heat all day. You're dirty and gross. Like the scene with the girl in the van when she pulls the gun out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And then pops herself. That shot right there, like that's one of the best shots ever. I mean, because it goes right through her fucking head. You know what I mean? I thought that Leatherface looked cool in this. And like again, it's my favorite movie of all time. Like huge goddamn fan. They changed a lot of stuff. The house, of course, looks a little bit more brooding. It looks a little more. Well, I mean, even in real life, that fucking house looks fucking terrifying. If you walk on those people's land, they'll shoot you. There's been a lot of videos of people trying to go to this house, and they get greeted with like somebody with a shotgun going,
That might spoil our plans for Texas Chainsaw night.
I
already got
different house.
Okay,
well,
all right.
This house looks fucking creepy. I mean, if you can see that shit. I mean, if you haven't seen this movie, like I definitely recommend it. I mean, I'm so picky about remakes, reboots, and all that shit, but this one, the story is so good on it. I was weird about it because I remember before it came out, it was said that the guy that put it out was the same one that was trying to get less gore in movies at the time or some shit, whatever. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, Texas Chainsaw Massacre really wasn't that gore to begin with. We're remaking it now. Let's put a little something extra, you know. But it was well done. I mean, the scenes that are gory enough, and the parts that aren't really gory but painful to watch. I mean, the guy being put on the hook. Imagine putting somebody on a hook or being the person put on a hook. Ouch. I get the same feeling when I watch this that I do when I watch the original. I am creeped out. I feel gross. And I'm entertained from the first minute to the last minute. So my number 2 is Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, I'm sure that you felt the same way I did whenever they announced the Evil Dead remake.
Yeah.
Scared skeptical.
Oh, dude, I was. Yeah, you know by now how I was.
Yeah,
I was like, no, fuck this. This isn't fuck. No, this is bullshit. No, fuck. And then like my buddy was like, dude, I watched it once. I'm not going to say a word, but you're going to come to the theater with me. And we went to the theater. He didn't say a fucking word to me. And like, as we were watching it, he's like, dude, the whole time you were just smiling. And I was like, I was glued to it. I loved it. You know, it's very rare. It's very rare that horror remakes come along where I'm like, I really enjoyed that. And there is. I mean, there's a lot of them that I do enjoy. There's a couple of them I enjoy more than the originals, which I feel like we might actually go through a couple of like honorable mentions whenever we get done here.
Oh, sure, sure.
But this is one that it's the second one out of, because my first one will come up in a little bit, you'll see. But this was the first one after this one where I was like, all right, I can get behind remakes, because remakes weren't really a thing then. They were just kind of starting, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre was one of the first ones that in that time period, you know, that they
2003, I think.
Yeah. And it was just kind of like,
because I think that and Dawn of the Dead came out roughly around.
Yeah, that's right.
See,
that was another. I thought about it. Yeah, I thought about that one.
That's that. Yeah. But yeah, that's my number 2. That's my turd.
I remember the trailer for that came on with Freddy versus Jason, and I was still skeptical about it when I saw the trailer. Because I think, didn't Michael Bay's name come up? It said like a Michael Bay production or something.
Yeah, I think he was the one that. There was a whole thing. Yeah, there was a whole thing.
We were always scared when we saw his name.
Yeah, because does he own Platinum Dunes? Is that who owns it? Because they did a lot of them.
I think I can't remember if that's him or not. I just know that like his shit's either it's hit or miss.
Yeah, it either really hits or it really misses. There's no in between with that fucking guy.
Yeah, are you all fans of this one?
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, I liked it.
Okay.
I like Arlie Ermy.
Arlie Ermy, fucking classic. 2 things that I don't like about this film is, one, when he takes off the mask. I fucking hate that anytime anybody does that. So it's not just an exclusive thing for this film. Anytime the monster takes off his mask, fucking dumb.
Mike's never door.
Yeah. Halloween. Fuck. Uncle Boogeyman, fucking crybaby bullshit. Get the fuck out of my life with that. All right. I don't want to see my monsters without their masks. All right. Just me. Whatever. So that's my 1 beef. My 2 beef is Jessica Biel. The thing that drives me crazy is because whenever you bring up this film to anybody that's not really a horror fan, all they do is say, "Oh yeah, Jessica Biel," and they're all fucking drooling over her and
that's not the movie's fault. That's not the movie's fault.
But if you're going to cast somebody, maybe not cast somebody so fucking hot that it takes away from the.
But you
the
need,
film.
in a lot of ways, if they hadn't cast her at that time, the movie may not have been out been as good as it was.
Maybe
it may not have got because I mean at the time she was like in fucking 7th heaven, and she was getting into more movies and all that shit or whatever. So like she was kind of already there. So like. I think she was a good casting for it. But I get what you're saying, though, completely. And you know what? I never thought about it. But, yeah, I guess – yeah, because, I mean, it was the first time that we really saw Leatherface, without the without the face on. But, yeah, I could have done without that. Huh.
Yeah, it was one of those things that wasn't necessary, and it just always irked me. And it's like whenever something like that happens, it just takes me out of the film. And, that's like I said, those are my 2 real beefs with the film. Otherwise,
So what you're saying is your beefs aren't that big of a deal. The movie's still good.
Yeah, I wouldn't say don't watch this movie because of that, but it's things that I would have done different. Obviously,
you're like me. I watch movies and I go, I really like this movie, but
yeah,
if I would have done this movie. I'm that guy that I'm horrible when it comes down to girls like watching the movies. Because I'll have a few drinks, whatever, and I'm like, what I would have done in this scene, and then I say something incredibly gross, and they're like, I'm never coming over again.
Adios, muchacha.
I don't want to be a lampshade.
Yeah, because I have my little peeves too. Like there was another little peeve I had with another remake that almost made it my list that I guess we'll get to later. But anyway, where are we at now? My number one was The Thing, so I guess we're at the number one.
Number ones. Well, my number one.
Are you changing your mind right now?
No, it's definitely the one behind you.
Okay.
You already know what it is, man.
I will agree that, in my opinion, it's a toss-up between The Thing and the movie you're about to say is the best remakes of all time.
I'm about ready to have my mind blown by what you're already ready to say.
Definitely Scarface.
Really?
Yeah. I love this fucking movie. I've seen this movie a million fucking times.
I mean, it's good.
So fucking good.
Oh, come on. It's fucking great.
It really is great.
No,
it's amazing.
Okay. Now, look. I love Al Pacino. Okay. I love Scarface. It's a good fucking movie. I guess my biggest thing with it is the fact that at a certain point in time, it became every rapper's fucking favorite movie, and the only thing they got from it was "Don't get high on your own supply." But I feel like this movie
playing in cribs.
I feel like every single one of them had Scarface playing. Oh, we ain't got a look, TV's on. Oh, it's Scarface. What a shock! Love this movie. Big ups to Biggie. I just don't get it because this movie I actually kind of I do enjoy. There's some really good fucked up scenes in it and stuff. But at the same point, I kind of feel in a way that it might have been a contributing factor to the death of intelligence in the youth later on, because if you learn anything out of this movie, it should not just be don't get high on your own supply. I'm sorry. It's a great movie. It's a great fucking movie. It's a classic.
Well, technically,
but I think that it gets overhyped a lot because of the gangster output of it. He's Tony Montana. Say hello to my little friend. Yeah, I get it. It's a great character. It's a great fucking film. A star-studded cast. The wonderful Michelle Pfeiffer, Al Pacino, Robert Loggia, a couple of those other fucking people that I can't remember their fucking names.
Andy Salazar.
Yeah, that guy. Who was also you talking about his best buddy or whatever?
No, that's I forget his name.
I get it. His best buddy.
He plays Chi-Chi. You're talking about the best buddy is Manny, who is played by Stephen Bauer.
Yeah. He actually, I remember him more so for Gleaming the Cube with Kristen Slater. He was the detective in it. Yeah, it's a good movie. I'm not saying it's not a good movie. I just think that because of what pulp culture is the past
you just kind of feel it got played out.
Mm-hmm. I feel like there's a whole other fucking yeah. We'll just leave it at that.
It's one of those things.
Don't want to be canceled.
I grew up watching this fucking movie too, so I mean.
So did I. I've still got the double fucking VHS somewhere and the special edition DVD.
I think I have 3 or 4 copies of pretty much everything it's on.
Mm-hmm.
It's a classic. I used
to wear nothing but Scarface shirts back in the day.
Yeah, you did.
Oh, you were that guy.
Yeah,
you were that guy. God, you were 3 of my friends I had in school.
I bought all the Scarface clothing.
God, I had a buddy of mine that I swear to God, this guy went from hating rap music.
I even had a Tony Montana money clip.
He went from hating rap music to getting into rap music, and I swear to fuck, he immediately went out and bought 3 Scarface posters. And I'm like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Well, it's just kind of what you do into rap music." I was like, "No, it's not. You get 1 poster and you get 2 others of 2 different people. You don't get 3 Scarface posters. Why are you putting Scarface above your bed?" Oh, it's all making sense now.
Oh, Jesus.
He was a big fan of Dog Day Afternoon.
He's flapping around again.
Attica.
Good movie. That's a damn good movie, but whatever.
It is. I mean, it shows you like how crazy shit was back in like the late.
And that's
70s.
based on true shit too.
Like, and the drug culture in Miami was really popping off in that fucking like disco type era.
What, Scarface?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's a wonderfully shot movie. I mean, it's a good movie. I'm not saying it's a bad. I'm just saying I'm so burned.
You know what a hasa is?
Yeah. What?
That's a pig that don't fly straight, Chuck. All right, you forgot the number 1.
And I come with the wicked. Oh, what?
You forgot rule number 1. Never underestimate the other guy's greed.
Actually, are you talking about what scene are you talking about? When he's sitting outside and the guy ends up being hung in the helicopter?
Whenever he goes to dinner with Frank in the beginning.
No, whenever we were talking about don't get high on your own supply, that was rule number 2. The first one was
right.
never underestimated.
The scene where
not everybody listens.
Well, right. The scene where they're sitting outside and he's like, "Don't fuck with me" or whatever. And the guy, they push him out of the fucking helicopter and shit.
The guy you're talking about, fucking F. Murray Abraham, bro.
I couldn't remember his name. Yes,
fucking legendary
Mr. Sosa,
who was also in Last Action Hero.
No, we're talking about not Sosa. We're talking about fucking Omar.
Okay.
Yeah, they played Omar.
So who's the guy from Last Action Hero?
You're talking Last Action Hero.
Yeah, he was one of the bad guys. Isn't it?
Charles Dance.
Oh, Mark Margolis?
For the love of God, I don't fucking know. It's.
You mean the head boss that was swimming in the pool?
No. Okay, the guy that acted like he was a cop, and he was friends with Arnold Schwarzenegger, but that he turns on him.
Oh, fucking.
I don't remember. I haven't seen Last Action Hero forever.
You never seen Last Action Hero?
And forever.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear that last part.
The guy that plays the cop that's fucking hanging out with Frank.
Yeah, it's F. Murray Abraham.
Is that okay? That's I thought it sounded right. That the scene where the dude or whoever gets pushed out and they were trying to fuck with Tony a little bit. Like there's the scene reminds me of and I had it a minute ago and then we couldn't figure out who the fuck I was talking about and ended up being fucking Abraham, but I forgot. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Good. That's what we do. Every
what
time
a Whitman answer. No, if Whitman was here, he would go, good, just like you did.
Good. But yeah, fucking Scarface, directed by Brian De Palma, written by Oliver Stone, fucking based off the 1932 film, which was also Scarface.
But a total different story.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And if you see at the end of De Palma's Scarface, it says dedicated to Howard Hawks and Ben Hecht. And those are the guys who did the original film back in the 30s. And, another one adapted from a novel published in 1930, inspired by Al Capone. Only difference was the original Scarface, they were doing bootlegging, running, illegal alcohol and everything back during Prohibition times.
Yeah, they were in Chicago.
Yeah. So they just basically took that concept and updated it for the early 80s where, you have Castro sending over all kinds of Cuban people as part of the Mariel boat lift. And it was just like at the time they were trying to get rid of people in the country, and he threw in a bunch of his inmates that he didn't want to house anymore. So like there was 125,000 people that ended up coming over from Cuba to the United States, and they said about 25,000 of them ended up being inmates with a criminal history, and that's what this kind of touches on, where you have this criminal element that was in Cuba that's coming to the United States. And back then, Miami, wasn't what it was. It was a kind of turning point for Miami, where it was just a retirement area, and then you got all these Cuban immigrants coming in, and the cocaine taking off, and crime taking off in that area, and then this is just basically what it talks about, and it illustrates how Miami was back in that time.
That was very well done.
That
I kind of got
Very
lost
well
in that whole thing.
But I mean, it's one of those ones.
I was waiting for something to be like, now with the weather.
Now.
Here's Tom with the weather.
But no,
Today,
it's one
young
of those
man on
films.
acid realized. Oh, what?
No, it's one of those films. Like I understand your viewpoint. But
It's a great
one of
movie.
those-
I'm not saying it's a bad movie.
Sure.
I came off wrong.
No, I get it, because I'm the same way with certain things where if it's fucking if it's one of those things that's super popular, then I end up going in the opposite direction that everybody else is going in. So I can get your perspective on that. But this it's hard for me to say that, because even though it's been popularized by hip hop and all kinds of different pop culture, it's such a good film, and it's such a good gangster flick. And of course, Pacino is one of my favorite actors of all time, maybe my favorite actor, and he does such a good job in this flick. And it's the American dream, more or less, and how people abuse it. You come to this country thinking that, okay, it's the land of opportunity and everything like that, but when you're a criminal, opportunity isn't always what everybody else sees it as. So, a lot of people want to come here and work hard. A lot of people want to take shortcuts, and this is one of those things where Tony Montana, he's driven by greed and power to kind of rise up and have his own, basically empire, and nothing was going to stop him. And that's what, it's his rise and his downfall because of his recklessness and his greed that ends up costing him his life and most of the people that he loved their lives. And it's such a good film. Just it shows, how you can achieve what you want to achieve. It's like a fucked up good message where if you believe in yourself, you can achieve whatever you want to, and the world could be yours. But if you abuse that and you get all these things that aren't necessary in your life with like drugs or just, power and money, where you're spending money on shit you don't need, and it just kind of consumes you. And it's like, Michelle Pfeiffer says in the dinner scene, it's like, we're losers, Tony. This is what we become because, you've got millions of dollars. You've got the house. You got everything. You got the empire. But fucking you're just sitting around fucking being miserable because, you're a fucking criminal and everybody thinks you're shit, and you're not contributing to the world. You're taken away from the world. And,
like money don't buy happiness.
No, that's one of the things that illustrates. So it's like,
did you ever play?
He looks miserable as fuck through most of the movie.
No, never.
The game?
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever played that either. I remember seeing it.
Because the story of it was that, like, and I never played it, but the story of it was that, how, like, the end of Scarface, he gets taken down, he gets, like, shot up and shit. Apparently in the game, it starts out, from what I've been told, it starts out in the fountain, and you get up and sneak off before the cops, like, find you. And you have to go and rebuild all your shit. So
weird.
The way I look at it is basically GTA.
Right.
Yeah, I mean that film, pretty much inspired that video game series.
Makes sense.
You'll see a lot of influence from Scarface in that video game franchise.
Like I went back and watched that shit this morning after work because I was like, I already, like as soon as we decided to do this, I was like, I already got my number one. Like it was just a no-brainer.
Yeah,
I've seen this movie so many fucking. Like, I've seen this movie just as much as I've seen the Evil Dead movies.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's definitely probably my top 10 of all time.
Oh yeah, so good.
I mean, the list keeps just moving around, but
but as far as remakes go, I mean, it's tough. It's tough to fuck with this because it's so good. It's one of those ones where whenever it came out, it a lot of people hated on it. There was too much violence, for that time period and everything like that. And it wasn't until later on that it really got accepted by society. And
it's got the craziest love story imaginable.
Yeah. I mean, there's also Blow, but
Hey, Ernie, you want a job?
Hey, man, you got a job.
One thing about Scarface is it has one of the most disturbing scenes is the chainsaw stuff.
Based on a true story.
Yeah. Man. The idea of having a chainsaw this close to like tearing through me, that's terrifying. And that whole scene, years later, when I got older, it reminds me of those moments that when you're being a punk ass kid and you're doing drugs and you're doing shit, you're wheeling and dealing, and you end up at a place that you don't want to be at, and you see shit you don't want to see, and the only fucking reaction you have is how quick can I get the fuck out of this place. Every time I watch that, it reminds me of 3 incidents I was in. By the time I was 15 or 16, to the time I was 19. And it's just like, 39 years old now. I'm alive and well, and I'm glad I got out of that shit a long time ago. Woo! Mm-hmm. That scene terrifies me.
And that's one of the things that kind of led to Tony's downfall as well. He develops this God complex because he keeps achieving all of his goals, but at the same time, he's dodging death as it goes along. It's like he's he doesn't get killed by the Colombians. He doesn't get, caught by the police. He doesn't get taken down by any of the enemies or anything like that. And it's like he just thinks he's unstoppable. So when it comes down to it, then he fucks over Sosa. Then he's like, oh, we're going to war. It's like, motherfucker, you don't even got an army. You got like Nick the Pig and Chi-Chi and fucking, like a handful of soldiers, and fucking this guy Sosa has a whole fucking operation. And you see it because all these fucking guys just swarm his fucking house and take him out, even though he has a fucking M16, they were going to get him.
Don't you ever fuck me, Tony.
The woman that plays his sister, what else was she in?
Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit, what is she in?
Was she in Robin Hood? She wasn't Robin Hood, was
she? That sounds right.
Was she Maid Marian?
The Kevin Costner one?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I could be wrong, but
I've only ever seen that once, I think.
I really?
Yeah.
As a kid, I loved that fucking movie, and then I got older and realized how stupid it honestly was.
Yeah, she was in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Is she Maid Marian in that?
Yeah.
I was always a bigger fan of Men in Tights. Robin Hood Men in Tights, not just Men in Tights.
Yeah.
or Men in Tights. She was in The Abyss too.
Yeah, The Abyss.
Right.
That was an underrated movie.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a good one.
That's where I was picturing
a good movie.
That's where I was picturing her from. Okay.
Color of Money.
Yeah.
She was Dude's wife.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Beautiful woman. Very exotic.
And she does a great job as well. She's in the film. She plays Tony's sister, and it's the one thing that kind of Tony tries to keep pure and whole throughout the film because he knows how fucked up his world is, and he goes back and he sees his younger sister, and he just wants to keep her out of it as much as possible. And then Manny, Steve Bauer's character, ends up falling in love with her, and Tony says, "No, she's not for you," but he can't help it. He's in love with her, and they end up getting married, and that's where it kind of, Tony shows up all coked out, and he feels like he's been betrayed, and he fucking shoots Manolo. Fucking stale as fuck, but that was the beginning of the end.
But don't get high on your own supply. That's what you should learn from this movie.
Do not.
No, you got to learn that to get a lady, you got to go like this.
What is that? You're like a lizard.
Yeah, that doesn't work. You can go back and ask the high school self of me.
Like, you see my friend over there? He's gonna stick his tongue out of this lady.
But even to this day, because I rewatched it yesterday, and fucking like that, like you said about the chainsaw scene, man, you get this feeling because it's like as soon as fucking the Colombian guy goes to his briefcase, you see the yayo, and then all of a sudden you see him grab a chainsaw, and you're like, oh fuck, like shit's about to go down. It's not like we're gonna shoot these guys. This guy's got a motherfucking chainsaw, and he's fucking taking Angel and putting him up in the bathroom. And it's not like, just like, oh, here, I'm going to use this chainsaw. He takes the chainsaw of the motherfucker's skull right out the gate, right in front of Tony. It's like,
then
here,
he chops his leg off.
Yeah. Oh, how about the leg next, And it's and the part that always strikes me is whenever he's sawing through Angel and the fucking blood is spattering all over the shower curtain and Tony's like right behind it. So it's like your friend's,
I know what that
is. Your friend's blood is just showering the shower curtain in front of you, and it's just so horrific, And
fun time.
I just wish if Manny and them would have been paying attention, if Manny and Chi-Chi would have been out there paying attention, they would have seen the guys sneaking up on the balcony and fucking all that.
Manny's out there macking on some hoe, and then fucking Chi-Chi's just fucking dancing around the music with his bright ass orange hat.
That's another fucked up thing. That chick in that scene, wearing the blue bikini that he's fucking flirting with and everything like that. That was some chick that ended up disappearing like a few months after that film because she was on set. She was on set as an actress, and she was watching like the scene go down and like how they're like killing each other in the street and everything like that. And she like freaked out, and they had to take her to the trailer. And she was talking about how she was involved with people because that scene is actually in Miami. The hotel, the Colony Hotel, and everything is still there, so you can go and see it and everything. Not the hotel where the chainsaw part happens, but if you look right next door, it's called the Colony. It's a long-standing hotel that's been in Miami, downtown Miami area. But she, they're in Miami, and she's an actress there, and she was involved with people that were doing money laundering and shit like that. And she was freaking out. She's like, "There's people that want to kill me." And sure enough, like 5 months later, she ended up missing, and fucking so she was part of it. I remember reading that story, and as soon as you brought that part up where Manny's flirting with her, I was like, holy shit, I remember that. But yeah,
that's crazy.
Yep,
that's like the Jaws thing.
Yep, another thing. So
well, I think I know what Chuck's number one is now, and it almost made my list too.
What about my number one?
Get out of here.
What? This was a red herring.
Please say Charlie. One. Charlie in the Chocolate Factory. Say it.
I wanted to, but I decided to go with The Parent Trap, 1998 film, Lindsay Lohan, a remake of the classic 1961 with Haley Mills, where they're playing dual roles. It's her.
I hate you right now. Shut the fuck up. Let me do my shit. God,
Can we let him keep going?
See, I was gonna say The Fog just to fuck with Chuck.
Oh, look at that! No love for The Fog.
You got the Judd Nelson nostrils on that one. Fuck that movie. Anyway. 7 strangers are trapped in an isolated farmhouse while cannibalistic zombies, awakened from death by the return of radioactive space probe, wage a relentless attack, killing and eating everyone in their path. A classic for the 90s, graphic, gruesome, and more terrifying than ever. The remake, done by Tom Savini.
Savini. Give me my Monday.
I'm a huge fan of the original. I'm a huge fan of this fucking movie. But I remember as a kid watching this version of it. And just remember, I don't know, I almost like it better in a way. Like I always love the original, always. It's the reason why we have so many zombies. You know what I mean? That's a good thing and a bad thing. But this one, it stays true to the original, except for the fact that it changes one thing that I'm glad they changed, and Romero was too, was that Barbara in the original she becomes a catatonic mess. And in this, she's a badass. I love films that take place in one small area, just like the original takes place in a farmhouse. The gore, the effects, it's so good. It really is. I mean, you can honestly watch the original and this one back to back and be fine with it. Like it's just the casting's fucking great. I mean, Tony Todd has been. Who else could have played him? No one. His demeanor and everything. Like, I mean, it's perfect in that. Patricia. Tallman, duh.
Tallman.
Which when I was on Tales from the Podcast, we actually did an interview with her, and I was chain smoking, shocker, the whole time, and the whole time she's getting on to me about smoking too much, and I found out that apparently she just had a good friend of hers die of lung cancer. JB failed to tell me this beforehand, and I'm just over there. But
around.
It's my number one because this is, God damn it, I swear to fuck, now flapping is just going to be.
I remember going to see that when it came out, 1990, I think.
Yeah,
90.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it was the original remake, the original horror remake in a lot of ways. I mean, it was the one. It was actually good. Romero.
My dad wasn't real big into horror, but he loves the original, so he took me to go see that.
I mean, and you're not disappointed. This one stands up. I watch this movie all the fucking time. How could you not? It like I said, it's so close to the original with a few little tweaks here and there. A little extra gore, a little extra special effects with some stuff.
The naked lady.
Oh.
Why, Dave?
I don't know. I just always remember that part.
Bill Moseley, he plays Johnny in it for a split second. There's a lot of good people in this fucking movie.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Besides Bill Moseley and Patricia Tallman and Tony Todd, you also had old dude playing Mr. Cooper.
Tom Thomas.
The dude from Devil's Rejection shit too.
Mm-hmm.
I always forget his fucking name. The guy that plays Tom and Mary Sue or whatever her fucking name is, Bobby Sue or whatever. The guy that plays, is it Tom? Right, yeah, it's Tom.
Tom is
the guy that
plays.
He played in this. He played in Leatherface. He played in Friday the 13th, Part 7. And there was another one too. I can't remember. But this guy's been killed by all just about all the main killers. Like, he really has. But yeah, I love Night of the Living Dead. The remake. It's one that I can reach on the shelf just about any time and watch it and be okay with it. It's one that I remember watching on TNT when I was a kid, late night. And actually, it was around the time that I first got mono. It was on TV. I taped it, and then I had a woman that came over. She was a young woman. She was in college, and she'd come over and hang out with me while my mom was at work. And she'd bring horror movies like The Ants, the movie with the big giant fucking ants and all this shit. And I was like, "Hey, have you ever seen Night of the Living Dead?" And she was like, "No." And I was like, "I'm going to show you this." And she was like I said, on her verge of college, and I don't know.
Yeah,
12.
you're on your verge. You're on the verge of something else.
Of puberty.
Oh yeah, no. Her name was Angela. She was a tall blonde. I used to watch Baywatch every morning and eat vanilla wafers because I didn't have to go to school. Mom would leave me home alone, and then all of a sudden, I had a woman who actually was my at-home teacher. Her name was Miss Payne. I'm not kidding. She left, and I never saw her again because I hid in my couch because I was terrified of her. Because she was mean. I didn't want to do her work. Fuck this shit. I'm sick. I'm watching Baywatch. Eating wafers. But this movie has a lot of like special moments in my life, and one of them was showing old Angela what horror really was, and I was like so much younger than her, and she just was. I mean, she's actually a really cool chick. I mean, she was much older than me, and she was raised on these giant, ant movies.
Ants.
And I was like, hey, here's zombies and blood, and she's like, you're so young, you shouldn't be watching this. I was like, you liked it, didn't you? She's like, yeah. I was like, see? And so, like, every time she came over, like, every week, I would find a new movie for us to watch. She'd bring over something, like, classic. I'd be like, oh, that's good. I watched it 2 weeks ago. How about Nightmare on Elm Street 5?
Very underrated.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So, yeah, Night of the Living Dead remake, Tom Savini's remake. It's a classic. It's a good one. Probably one of the best. You can't really, I mean, when it comes down to remakes, it's my number one for the fact that it was one of the first ones that came out that were worth the shit. So yeah.
Yes, highly recommended by your clerks.
Number one.
Honorable mentions. We mentioned Dawn of the Dead. So that was Zack Snyder's one of his first gigs, I think.
Damn good movie.
Yeah,
damn good movie.
Ooh.
I'd actually, I went.
Good pick.
Wow.
I almost said that, Michelle.
Oh, good pick.
Yep.
I love the remake of The Blob.
See, I love the original Blob, and I actually have not watched the remake in a long time. Maybe I need to go back.
I haven't seen it in a while.
Stars Johnny Bananas.
Actually, the same way I watched the original Blob was from Angela.
Okay.
It all circles back around. It all circles.
It's weird how that happens, right?
So you're trying to say that you showed Angela the Blob?
I didn't have a Blob at the time, but I was young, man.
It was flapping.
It was flapping.
There it is. We should. Why don't we make the remake of the Happening, the Flapping? We're coming up with all these.
What's that? It's a flapping.
Mark Wahlberg's like, oh, what is that noise?
It's his third nipple hitting his ball sack.
And this time it won't be the fucking wind.
Nature's getting mad. No, it's flapping.
Do you consider speaking of ants? Do you consider the DreamWorks animation version to be a remake of the horror one? No. Okay.
No, not at all.
Just wondered.
Great question, though. Good question. Next.
12 Monkeys. I think it was based on a short French film. That's another one. What else? We don't read from IMDb on this show. We go with what we know in our little clerks' heads.
You know, but you saying that is cool that we go by IMDb.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
IMDb.
I didn't like the remake.
Let's not do that.
The Friday the 13th one wasn't horrible.
I liked it. I thought it was a good one.
I didn't think it was too bad. I hated the Elm Street.
I think they tried to cram 1 through 5 into that.
Oh God!
I'm surprised you didn't have.
Easter.
I'm surprised, Chad, you didn't have on your list It.
It was close.
No.
That's another good one, actually.
It was close.
Well, I'll tell you, the ones that I struggle with, one in particular, actually, let's go with the first one, but like The Hills Have Eyes.
Mm-hmm.
That one was damn near. Yeah, that's a damn good one. It's a damn good one, too. I prefer the original over it, but it's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
But like Hills Have Eyes, I think it's so much better than the original. I think both of them are better than the originals.
Would you guys?
I don't watch the originals of Hills Have Eyes. I watch
consider
the
Evil Dead 2 a remake?
Yeah,
yes and no.
It was. Mm-hmm. It was. I mean, that's the whole reason why. I mean, like why the script and everything is the way it was, because it was a remake of the original. Because they didn't think that.
And that's what I was saying earlier with writing that movie. How do you get him back to the cabin? It's hard enough to get him out to the cabin the first time, but why in the world would he ever go back to the cabin? So it's like, fuck it, just remake it. I would agree that it's a remake.
Totally.
Going back, I think Dawn of the Dead probably is up there as well. I know we just mentioned it, but fucking that Zack Snyder flick. I remember watching it for the first time, and I was like fucking blown away because this time the zombies are running, and I was like, oh, that makes it fucking way more scarier because fucking they're on your ass. It's not fucking I'm gonna dodge this slow motherfucker right here. You know, you're fucked if you don't get the hell out of there. So
it was
that whole beginning sequence is fucking amazing.
Yeah,
like the
Johnny
pre-opening,
Cash.
the whole pre-opening credit sequence, like that. That whole
He's
scene
really
is
good at
fucking
that.
nuts.
He's really good at
Man.
making opening credit
Going
sequences.
around taking names.
You just see like the fucking town in chaos and fucking.
Well, see, when this came out, it was around the same time I was questioned for murder, and we're
slowly getting more and more of Chuck's backstory.
Yeah. It's actually a big long story, and I won't go into the whole thing. But me and two other people were going to Tennessee to pick up our buddy to go move into another town, a college town. And when we were there, because he lived in a place called Cleveland, Tennessee. And when we were there, because we said the night over and stuff before we left, and we went to the movie theater at the mall there to go see this, and it was fucking packed.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking packed.
Yeah.
To the point where like I had to sit away from my friends, and like it was like, I mean, it was shoulder to shoulder of fucking people. And in the middle of the movie, because my friends are assholes, they were up sitting above me, and like they would yell out things to me the whole fucking movie. And there's like fucking 100-something people in this fucking theater. And I'm getting, hey, Chuck, you see that shit? yeah. I'm sorry. I don't, my friend's mentally ill. I don't, you know, it was, but there was, everybody left there going, whoa, that was so much better than I thought it was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then I came home and got, you know, questioned for murder.
Funny view.
There's a whole other story there.
We skipped the
We'll
part.
cover it next time.
To be continued
We got
on the next episode of 60 Minutes.
so many fucking films. We could sit here for hours and talk about the best and the worst and you know everything in between. Fucking House of Wax. You got fucking Nosferatu. You know.
Oh yeah.
And the horror
All the
genre.
Dracula.
Pretty much
Dracula.
everything. You know, everything's been remade. Fucking Child's Play. Fucking Carrie. Fucking.
Well, Nosferatu wasn't just a Dracula. I mean, there was Nosferatu, the original Max Schreck, and then there was the German version of it. And then how you even go to Shadow of the Vampire, which is a totally different version of what it could have been. You know, but
Last House on the Left.
House on Haunted Hill.
House on Haunted Hill. Dave mentioned that.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh,
We immediately went into something else. So he just said it, and then we moved on.
It's real easy to get sidetracked with this one.
I'm
just
trying to think of any
many
other movies any other remakes that
Ghostbusters.
matter.
Oh God, yeah, that's probably the worst
Really?
of the worst.
My Bloody Valentine, which is just
Hey, there's a good one. That's a good one. I love the original, but that's My Bloody Valentine's. I actually watched that for Valentine's Day. Was the remake, the Black Christmas remake, not the third one that was put out by Dumbhouse. I'm talking about the one that was like Black Xmas is what it's called.
Dumbhouse.
Right.
But that's a good one. Which actually that one, if you're a fan of the original Black Christmas, Black Xmas is a good one because it almost plays out more like a sequel. That also gives you a prequel feel to it. So like I always like that one too.
Fright Night actually wasn't bad.
Right now. Yep.
Wasn't horrible, I guess.
Colin Farrell wasn't. Yeah, I like Colin Farrell. He was.
I like Colin Farrell, but I didn't like the. Friday Night's one of those movies. Like, why bother with it? It's a great movie. It's a fucking classic.
The Departed. You know, we've talked about.
Oh, that's right.
Before.
Yeah. I forgot about that one though.
I didn't put that on the list just because.
Is that a remake?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
It was what? Fuck, I can't remember what it was called.
It was something totally different. Like, I think it was like
Internal Affairs. or Infernal Affairs. It was a Hong Kong film. It was based off of. So that's why
no tiki.
No tiki, no laundry.
And that happens a lot too. Our foreign films get Americanized. It's happened with Old Boy, The Ring,
Grudge.
The Grudge.
I didn't see Old Boy, but I haven't seen the remake.
Great.
The original. I've seen the original.
I love the original.
Me and Dave used to watch that one all the fucking time.
I love that movie.
We went on a super big kick there. It was pretty much Old Boy and Versus like nonstop.
Pet Cemetery.
Pet Cemetery. That's right. Yeah.
I hated the remake of that.
I never saw it. I never did.
Oh, it wasn't horrible, but I thought that like the shit they changed in it was garbage.
Yeah, it was
like it didn't bring
anything new to the table.
It was it was like what you changed it around from the boy to the girl, and
it was one of those movies where I watched it and at the end I was like,
At the end of it, especially how the end of it ended, like the last 10 minutes of the movie, I'm going, fuck this shit.
The one I was going to mention that I thought about putting on my list just to give it some love because I don't think it gets enough love is the Amityville.
That's the one.
With Ryan Reynolds, I don't think was that bad. But the nitpicky thing I talked about earlier was with this movie, and just that they were way too young to be having 3 kids.
Yeah, that's not true.
Around that was. I mean, I'm just saying that's the only nitpicky.
You can't. Come on, the Amityville remake was good.
I thought it was
a damn good movie.
I remember. I think we went to go see it.
You can't say that.
That was pretty good.
Young to have 3 kids.
Well, I'm just saying that's one of the stupid nitpicky things that bothers me.
That's an imperative. Like
it's one of those things that flaps around.
That was before Ryan Reynolds was like really anything.
Yeah. He just did. I think he was just off the heels of Van Wilder when that came out.
Van Wilder, Waiting, and then before that was like 2 Guys, a Girl in a Pizza Place. Then it became 2 Guys and a Girl. And then it was just like
2 Girls, 1 Cup, and
I just
just moved along.
But yeah, no, that one was really good. I thought that was that I love. I mean, I've got the fucking house right here, but
I forgot about that one.
My nitpicky thing from that film, the Amityville remake, was whenever he's out chopping wood, and they show him out there, and he's shirtless, and he's got like his 6-pack going, and they have all this sweat dripping off him. I'm like, what the fuck are we watching here? like, why is it necessary to show Ryan Reynolds shirtless with sweat dripping off his body with his 6-pack? I get it. I get it for the female audience, but I mean,
it's to sell a little bit, but it's also like, I mean, if you're chopping wood and you've got the body to show it off, you're going to take your shirt off. Now, I wouldn't take my shirt off, but I'd probably be sweating my goddamn balls off, wanting to take my shirt off. So in that scene, I don't blame him. I'd take my shirt off too.
Maybe down in Kentucky. Maybe down in Kentucky. No disrespect, but this is fucking Amityville, New York. Motherfuckers.
Maybe he was
running around with shirts off.
Yeah, but I mean, if it's hot and you ever done something like a lot strenuous and it's cold as fuck outside, but you're still sweating your balls off because you've been doing a lot of it? Sure. That's how I feel about it. Like, I feel like, he's working his ass off doing his shit. I'm also saying, like, I agree with the fact that, like, I'm sure that, like, oh, well, it's Ryan Reynolds with his shirt off. That's probably a factor as well. But again,
he's trying to go on McConaughey and be like, I think in this scene I'll just pop my shirt off.
It was
one of those things where he actually didn't want to have his shirt off. Actually, in that scene, they wanted him to have his shirt off.
And that's the thing. That's my beef is that it's blatantly like, oh, look at this guy's body, and it's another one of those things that takes me out of the film. I don't want to look at this guy's body.
That is a small, like itsy bitsy, like uber tiny, like petty bullshit. Fucking like shit on it.
Nitpick. That's why it's called nitpicking. We're picking that nit.
That's just.
We're crocheting a massive doily over here.
Oh my god!
Can anyone else think of any others? I'm sure
there's a lot, man.
I can think of the guys.
We're focused on horror. I mean, like Ocean's 11 franchise. I know Dave. We had mentioned that, and I know you're not a big fan of it. They're okay.
It's all right.
Yeah. It's just one of those things. A fun little film. Nothing major. I'll give credit though to I know it'll probably get hate here, but that the remake of A Star Is Born with Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper.
I haven't seen it, but I actually want to watch it. Actually, I heard
it's a really fucking good flick, and fucking Bradley Cooper does all the singing in it and everything like that. And fucking, if you haven't seen it, it's worth seeing. You know, and it's a different genre, of course.
I'm a sucker for music movies, no matter what it is. Really, just about any music movie I'll watch. I have my exceptions, but
But it's a really good flick, and Lady Gaga does a good job. She's not some fucking weirdo doing bullshit like she might be in this upcoming Joker sequel, but
we'll see.
We'll see. That's another one.
I love Gaga. Whatever.
I thought she was good in the AHS shit that she did. The fucking
American Horror Story Hotel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought she did a good job. People gave her so much shit about it. They're like, she's not a bad actress. Yeah. And I think that she. I don't know. I think she's an original, and I'm curious about the whole Joker thing because they're going to take it. I have a feeling they're going to take it. Harley Quinn and Joker, not the love story you want to have. I'm so fucking tired of everybody being like, oh well, they're so madly in love, and you got these goth kids thinking this is the way it should be. Joker's an abusive asshole to her constantly. If you don't read the comics, you don't watch the cartoons, whatever, you can't tell. But I get so fucking tired of that. He's abusive. He's a piece of shit. He doesn't treat her good. What do you mean she needs to go back to him? I don't know. I fucking hate people. I ain't curious about this movie, but I don't. It's like that fucking stupid Crazy Town song. Me and you, baby, like Sid and Nancy. Sid probably killed Nancy. Why is that? Why do you feel like that's a thing to tell a woman that you love? Hey, me and you, babe, we're like Sid and Nancy. Oh, you're not familiar who Sid and Nancy is? Let me tell you. They were heroin addicts who were overrated. Sid Vicious was a piece of shit. Fuck him. And he woke up and his girlfriend was stabbed to death, and he might have done it. Yeah, great love story. Fucking eat a dick. Same thing here. Same thing here. Why must we romanticize certain things? Now, even though we did Natural Born Killers recently, and we said it was part of the greatest love story of all, there's a difference. Because love beats the demon.
Bam. Mic drop.
So, yeah.
Well, that about wraps it up. Does anybody have anything to add before we go to our fun little segment?
Did you want to talk about Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Chuck? I know that was one that was on your mind.
No, I do want to say that real quick. Anybody that actually is like watching gives a shit. We were supposed to. My band, Bastard Sons of Judas Go, was supposed to be playing a show tomorrow. Is it past midnight?
Yes. Or no, in about 5 minutes.
You're getting ready to be. Well, tomorrow we were supposed to be playing a show, and then it got canceled because the main band was scared about pollution and toxins over this way. They live in North Carolina, but they're worried about this right here. So sorry for anybody that was supposed to come out to the show. Not our fault. We were down to play, but shit happens. Whatever. Let's all find our safe space.
I wouldn't be surprised if a fucking horror movie comes out of this fucking train wreck, because it's got the story right there built into it. Train derails.
You mean all four train wrecks? You mean all four train wrecks?
Well, the main one that was brought up first.
All four of them had chemical spills.
Yeah,
scary.
And I'm right down here in the middle of this shit. Apparently.
So how did Return of the Living Dead start?
I'm telling you.
Strap up, kids. Shit's about to pop off.
White noise.
Bad things are on their way.
Did they?
White noise. The new movie that came out, or that really bad Michael Keaton movie that let me down really bad. I remember seeing White Noise in theater with Michael Keaton. I was like, oh, Michael Keaton's in movies again. Yay. Mm-hmm. And I watched it and I was like, what the fuck did I just waste an hour and a half on? What was this? I could have been playing like laser tag. It's bullshit.
Laser tag. Well, that about wraps it up. But before we go, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for our random clip of the week, in which we pick a random clip from a random movie and see what happens.
Oh, Jesus.
Let's see what we got this week.
Retro.
I know what this is.
Really?
Great movie.
Burn After Reading. Classic.
Oh, fuck.
Because if you remember that film, the contraption he built in the basement, Chad actually has an exact replica of that in his kitchen.
It's for working out. When you pedal, it pushes you back up when you try to sit down.
Of course.
What were you guys thinking? Well, does anybody have anything going on before we sign off?
Yeah. Bastard Sons of Judas Go. We got a new new album that we're getting ready to get done with, put it out. It's some killer shit. We got some shows coming up. Go to our page on Facebook, Bastard Sons of Judas Code for all the shows coming up. Graveyard Talk, Nasty Nation, Anchor, Spotify. They're both in the same fucking thing. You'll see. And I'm also writing horror stories now for Any Last Words magazine. And I also will be contributing to their magazine coming out in the summer called Creeperella. And those will be more explicit splatterpunk stories. But yeah, you can check all that shit out on Facebook. You can go to anylastwords.com, I think, and check all that shit out or whatever on there. Because I'm pretty sure the next issue coming up next month is my first issue, and it's called Nasty Nightmares. Is my segment. I have a whole a slew of things you can buy for my merch on there. Notebooks, pillows, hoodies, T-shirts. We got it all.
Do you have a flamethrower?
Not yet.
The kids love that one.
It's love the fun. Must be a Dan Aykroyd in the Saturday Night Live commercials.
We will keep everyone updated, of course, as Chuck Nasty's outside projects continue to stack up. We're looking forward to that. And don't forget to check out Mike and Mike's Leasure Trading Company. You can see the address up there. Make sure you like and subscribe to his channel. And as always, please take a second to subscribe to our channel as well. It only takes a second. Of course, it's free, and we really appreciate it. It makes us feel good.
Yeah, thanks for watching, guys.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We are your video store clerks. We will see you next week at